Hi, this is Lynn from Alamosa Quote Company. Have you ever cut your fabric? You're cutting strips, everything's going great until you open it out and your strips have an elbow. I don't know if you can see, my strips has an elbow. It's not straight, okay? Comes in, okay? Why does this happen? Well, it's all how you cut it. It's all your fault. You're cutting it wrong, okay? But I'm going to show you why it happens and what you need to do so that you don't have this problem. So why does it happen? Why do you get an elbow? Well, it's how you've got the fabric folded when you cut it. Unless you can open it all the way out and have a huge cutting area and be able to cut it in one layer, you're going to have to fold it. If you don't fold it right, you're going to get elbows on your strips, which is not what you want. So how do you fold it properly? Well, first off, you want to line up the salve edges, okay? And they need to be straight. So you see I've got the salve edges right here. I've got my forefinger, my index finger in between, okay? And I'm going to adjust. And if you look how it's hanging, I'm shifting. See how it's not hanging right, okay? It's because I don't have the sides lined up the right way. So I just need to take and shift. So you can see here how the top is. If I just shift it over, and now look, it's hanging more straight. It would hang even better if I ironed it, but I'm too lazy for that, okay? But if you really want to get it good, you do need to iron it. So just iron it, okay? Especially if when it comes off the bolt, if the salve edges are kind of wonky on the end, they're not lined up, then it probably didn't get cut right. So you want to line up the salve edges, okay, here. And then for me, I've got to fold it again. So I'm going to take you over to the overhead camera so I can show you how to fold it again and how to line up and how to get it straight. Okay, I've got my camera high enough here so you can see. So I've got the fabric lined up. This is the edge that I cut my bent piece off of. And look at how the fold of the fabric is not straight with the salve edge. That's why I got an elbow. So I'm going to slide it over and make it straight. Okay. And now I'm going to cut off a little bit here on this side. And I'm going to line up any old line. It happens to be the 16 line on here, but it doesn't matter what line it is, just line it up. I'm going to try to cut off as little as possible here, but I want it straight here. I want it straight here. And then when I cut that off, now this edge is straight, this edge right here. So if I want to get a good strip, because I'm right-handed, I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to cut a 2-inch strip because that's what I cut before. That's what I was trying to cut. And now when I open it out, it's straight. So that's what you need to do. You need to cut it straight. You need to cut it square. All right, it's not the fabric's fault, it's your fault. So just figure it out, lay it out, and that is how you cut a straight strip, one that doesn't have elbows. Okay, there is another way to make sure that you have a straight edge before you cut. And so what you do is you tear it. So you take your fabric, open it up all the way, and you want to snip in 1 inch, 2 inches, 1.25 inches, something like that, 1.5 inches, I don't know, and just cut it. Okay, so you just want to make just a little cut like this, okay, and then you tear it. Now, a lot of people don't like the sound of tearing fabric. They don't like to tear the fabric. But it will tear on grain, which is what you want. And see, look at how much difference that is. Okay. I tore the other edge, not the edge that I had been cutting, not the edge that I squared up. So you see how it's much wider here, really narrow up there. So the downside of tearing is it makes your fabric like this, but press it nice after you've torn it. Line up the salve edges like I showed you. Okay, oh, do it the other way. Line up the salve edges like I showed you, and then once it's nice and pressed, you might have to trim off, the little raggedies because tearing does that. But then you will have a nice square straight edge, and so when you fold it again and want to cut, all of that will be lined up. You'll get a nice straight strip of whatever width you're cutting, no elbows. But this does waste a little bit more fabric, so if you're going to tear on regular width fabric, we recommend you add 1/8 of a yard to whatever you're buying. For wide backs, we recommend you add 1/4 of a yard to whatever you're buying if you're going to tear the edge to get a straight edge.